A boom of energy echoes throughout the time chamber as two blurs move around the room at blinding speeds, only coming into view when they clash. As Goku asks Tien if this is all he's got, the Crane student advises the Turtle school member shut his mouth and tries to keep up. As the two break away once more, we get a glimpse at the last few years before the boys had entered the time chamber, where we see them slowly but surely helping one another grow, spending hours a day meditating, sparring, hanging out on days where their body just needs to rest, or staying up to talk to one another when the nightmares of what happened become too great. And while the wounds of the past have cut them deeply, it is clear the healing has begun to happen, enough so that Kami has trusted them to enter the time chamber, telling them to only go in for as long as they felt comfortable doing so. And for the two students of God, it's been 3 months since that day. The growth they have undergone is immeasurable, to the point they have long since broken what they used to believe were their limits. The pair finish this training and realise that they are long since past their breaking point, so decide that now it is time to leave. The strain of this place has become far too much. The nightmares which have been haunting them become too regular, and the way their bodies feel is exhausted. So they decide to leave the time chamber. Kami is surprised that they made it as long as they did, but he can tell they are ready, and no longer fears Piccolo. And while the journey to recovery is still long, the boys have supported each other down the road a fair amount. He just hopes they continue on this path. With the tournament a week away, Goku and Tien decide to leave the lookout now, taking their time to travel across the world to make it to the tournament grounds, wanting to use this time to give their body some rest and also just reacclimate to being on the ground again. Arriving at the tournament grounds the day it finally rolls round, where much like in canon, Goku reunites with Bulma. However, here it is much more of a heartfelt reunion, as Goku has had time to mature differently from his canon self, thanks to his deep scars left from the Demon King. Bulma can tell that Goku has grown. She can't help and acknowledge that he is quite handsome, but she is sad to see that some of the spark the boy once had has diminished. Both hold a moment of silence as they embrace one another, in remembrance of Old Man Roshi and Krillin, but the sound of Yamcha arriving on the scene changes the atmosphere. The Desert Bandit is thrilled to learn Goku and Tien are still alive. Bulma is especially happy to see Yamcha, having not seen him in a while. The moment the survivors share is sweet, as Puar hugs Yamcha while Launch begins chatting up Tien. All the while Oolong, Bulma and Goku talk about old times collecting the Dragon Balls, making an eternal vow to win this tournament for their fallen comrades. However, both Goku and Tien can't help but spot the energy of the Demon King's spawn, hanging around the tournament grounds and keeping his distance, but when spotting him, it takes all of their strength to not strike him down now. Luckily, before the anger building inside of Goku or Tien, a woman calls out, approaching Goku, and asks him a few questions, before leaving in a huff when the man cannot answer all of them. This breaks their anger and allows the demon spawn to escape into the distance, causing them to have to wait till the next day, when they find themselves breezing through the prelims, it not taking a lot for them to narrow down the tournament into a top 8 position. The matches being Tien versus Tao, Yamcha versus Mars Jr., Goku versus Name Withheld, and Yajirobe versus Hercule. Spotting who Yamcha is up against, Tien talks to Goku into warning their friend of who this fighter is, advising that he forfeit the match, Tien not wanting to gamble anyone's life. It's different for Yamcha, as all he can picture is the lifeless corpse of Roshi and Krillin. His fear begins to rise, but so does his resolve to get some revenge. Being stronger, he places his feet firmly to the ground, telling his friends he will fight, and he will win. Tien wants to tell his friend not to risk his life, but Goku is the one who reminds Tien that there is rules to the tournament, and based on the fact that Mars Jr. hasn't killed anyone yet, he is willing to bet he won't do so now. Tien goes to argue, but he spots the fear in Goku's eyes as it's clear. Thoughts of Krillin's death play through his mind, his eyes telling Tien that he is going to stop this match if he thinks it's going too far. This tournament be damned. The weight of everything being heavy enough that Tien almost misses his name getting called for the match, as Mercenary Tao stands in front of Ten. Tien plans to make this a respectful loss for his former mentor, but Tao tauntingly asks where Tien's little friend is, and in a second Tao is out of the ring, knocked out, with no one being able to follow the Triclops' movements, instead having to watch as he slowly walks back into the waiting area, having shown off a glimpse of his power. Piccolo Jr. can only watch in horror, wondering how strong these heroes have gotten, making a note to be cautious of the Earthlings. As Yamcha versus Mars Jr. comes around, both step into the ring. Yamcha vows his attempt in honour of the other members of his school. Taking his offensive, the fighter closes the gap between his opponent and himself as fast as he can, throwing a punch which the demon is easily able to block before breaking the bandit's arm, making Yamcha scream out in pain. Having lost 3 training partners in this timeline, the bandit is significantly weaker, and it's something that is causing great issues for him. But just because he's weaker than his foe does not mean he's out, as his resolve in this timeline allows him to keep fighting on. Now being so close, he uses his good hand to throw another punch, with Piccolo being able to block this one once more, but with both arms occupied, the Desert Bandit then jumps up and shouts out Wolf Fang Feet, unleashing a barrage of kicks into the stomach of the Demon King, making sure all of his strength is put into each and every blow, not wanting to give the Demon King a chance to breathe, even managing to loosen the grip that the demon has on him, allowing for his final kick to bounce off the demon's body and gain some distance. Now standing at the edge of the ring, he gambles his match into gathering enough ki to use the Spirit Ball, throwing this attack with everything he has and more, but unfortunately Piccolo is done playing games, as he jolts forwards, dodging the attack, and with a single punch knocks Yamcha out of not only the ring, but out of consciousness. Piccolo laughs when suddenly a blast hits him in the back of the head, with enough force to almost bring Piccolo out of the ring himself, as Yamcha, with a weak grin, shows that he had brought the attack back, before gently drifting off into unconsciousness. This moment earns Yamcha some respect in Piccolo's eyes, understanding how this fighter survived his father's wrath. As for Goku, he is gripping down on the sides of the wall, having almost intervened, but saw that Yamcha was not willing to go down, so stood on the sidelines waiting. As his name is suddenly called out, Goku and Chi-Chi's match go much like canon. The only difference is Goku's memory of Chi-Chi would likely be much worse, since he has been a lot more traumatized by the events of the Demon King Piccolo saga, but also thanks to the longer time in the time chamber. The final match being Yajirobe vs Hercule. The new up-and-coming star in the martial arts world, Hercule, is eliminated by the samurai very fast, Yajirobe having very little patience to take any of these fights seriously. As the next rounds of the semi-finals begin, the next one being Mars Jr. vs Tien. Something I cannot stress enough here is Tien is not Goku. No matter how much time he spends around him, he is not Goku. Mars Jr. stands proud, seeing the Triclops as another small fish for him to fry, knowing that he has some hidden power, but surely that was the extent of it. Capping out to around roughly the same power as himself, it'll be a tough fight, but he knows he'll win. But that's when Tien roars out, flaring up his aura, with it nearly being strong enough to knock all spectators off their feet, but it does successfully cause fear to paralyse the demon in front of him, as there is a huge gap in power, nearly 2-3 times large. Tien doesn't break eye contact with the demon. He asks if he's scared, asks if he's worried about what he's about to face. He tells the demon that this is how everyone his father killed felt, and he needs to understand just why he needs to be afraid of the Earthlings, and more importantly, as Tien tells the demon something that makes his paralysis almost permanent, as Goku is twice as strong as Tien. This thought, joined by a gaze from Goku, could stop Piccolo Sr.'s heart. This makes Piccolo Jr. drop to his knees in defeat. Tien, keeping his distance, places a small jar on the ground. He turns to the tournament official and apologises for the use of an outside item, but for this demon, he sees no other way. As he uses the Mafuba, the demon cannot counter, as it's too late by the time he realises what's going on, finding himself fighting back, being absorbed into this attack, only for it to be a wasted effort, as he is soon sealed away due to the huge gap in power. This allows Tien to breathe a sigh of relief, having ended the monster's possible reign of terror, hoping this brings peace to all of the fallen warriors' souls in the afterlife. Grabbing the bottle, he throws it as hard as he can into the direction of the lookout, scaring both Popo and Kami when the bottle crashes into the side of the building, durable enough to endure this attack. Goku is unsure if his friend made the right call, having sensed some good in the demon. He can't help admit that he would have liked to see if he could change him, but he also can't help but admit he's so happy the demon is gone for good. As Yajirobe, hearing the strength of Goku being above Tien by nearly 2 factors, is quick to forfeit his tournament match, leading to the finals, where Goku and Tien finally get to have their rematch. Tien knows the outcome of this fight, but he refuses to give up his champion title without a fight. The pair here spend an hour fighting, each blow and strategy used countered with a technique or strategy the pair had spotted while training alongside their friend during the 3 years. The multiform technique is countered by Goku's sheer strength. Goku's intense strength is countered by the 3 witches technique. The solar flare with ki sense, the Kamehameha stop before it's ever fired with the faster charged Dodon Ray, continuing to fight even after they are both long out of ki, using all the skills their respective schools taught them. The battle only ending when Tien shouts for Goku to stop holding back. The man just laughs, having guessed Tien would figure it out, before demonstrating just how wide the gap between them is with a burst of speed that is almost blinding, as Tien's third eye even struggles to keep up with him, as suddenly Tien is chopped on the back of the neck and knocked out, causing Goku to be the victor. Showing up like normal, Kami offers the role of guardian to Goku or Tien. However, both reject, stating that they will always defend the Earth, but they are not suited to be its guardian. Goku goes to head off to marry Chi-Chi like normal, however this time wanting an excuse to spend time with those who survived. Having gained a new appreciation for spending time with those he holds close, he actually holds a wedding celebration with his friends being present, Tien acting as his best man, and for the first time Goku and Tien actually feel like they can laugh and have a good time. It's during this celebration Yamcha learns of how both warriors became so strong, setting his own sights to the lookout of Earth's god. With everyone happy to have this extra time with one another, it's finally time for Goku and Chi-Chi to leave, about to head off and start their life together. Before leaving though, Goku tells Tien to not be a stranger and come by and visit him soon so they can have a rematch. With the party ending, Tien once more finds himself without purpose or direction. Wanting to give Goku time to adjust to married life, he decides to begin his training once more alone, wondering how he should go forward, finding himself in a very similar position to just before he had joined Goku on the lookout. But Tien just continues pushing forwards, knowing Goku is likely doing the same, wanting to grow as far as he can alone, at least for the first 4 months, which is when the loneliness becomes too much and the nightmares become too frequent, as Tien, having found himself isolated again, has allowed all of the negatives of the past to fester and grow in his body in peak conditions. So he soon sets his sights on heading towards Goku's place. Finding it early on in the day, Goku is happy to see his friend, and Tien is invited in to have breakfast with the young couple. He spends the meal catching up with the pair, but Goku can tell that Tien is struggling. So once finishing, he takes Tien for a short flight to a nearby waterfall, where he often comes to meditate and relive some of his more impressive fights. Goku asks Tien how he's been holding up. Not seeing any point in faking it, he admits it's been a rough few months, joking that today is the best day he's had since the tournament, and Goku admits it's been hard for him as well. But with Chi-Chi around, she's helped him a lot. Having someone around willing to train alongside him, settle any of his nerves, cook any of his meals, or even just comfort him when the nightmares do come. However, he feels like life is moving on to the next stage. The pain hasn't gone, it's just less frequent, it's bearable. And while he still misses Krillin and Roshi every day, he's been with Chi-Chi. Talking about their future and a family makes it hurt a hell of a lot less, even if he does feel guilt creep in that Krillin will never get the chance to have his own family. Tien is happy for Goku, and wondering if this sort of peace is something he could achieve in the future. Goku jabs his friends in the ribs, telling him that he is welcome to stick around as long as he needs, or visit as much as he wants. They are friends, and almost family. They're supposed to help each other out, And besides, it would be nice if he could have him around to train against every now and again. Goku's fear of losing another friend has made him unknowingly more attentive to his friends, so he's more quick to offer up help. Tien takes Goku up on the offer, finding himself spending multiple days a week at Goku's house, training alongside the Monkey Man, and even talking Chi-Chi into joining some of their spars. However, when the woman falls pregnant, she stops joining in, taking it much slower, but this pregnancy works as fuel for Goku. The man, having lost the people in his world he would have called family, and now with a child on the way, he pushes himself and Tien much harder than ever before, refusing to let his own idiocy be the cause of any more deaths, especially those of his family. Gohan's birth is something that is very celebrated, not only by the Sun family but also by Tien, who sees this birth as the end to a dark time. Tien finds himself becoming an uncle figure to the young boy, as he's reminded a lot of Chaozu when he originally joined the Crane School. And while the boy still wants to be a scholar, thanks to Goku and Tien's fear of losing people they care about, the pair have managed to convince Chi-Chi to not only keep up with her own training, but also have Gohan go through some light training, so if push comes to shove he would be able to defend himself. Chi-Chi, having seen how hard the last few years had been on Goku, was very easy to talk into allowing Gohan to train, and even kept up training of her own free will. Even if it is just some light workouts or the occasional spar, it has helped Gohan grow to a point where he could defend himself, and has even allowed him to adjust to life as a fighter, hearing stories of people Tien and his father hold in high regard and call masters of the martial arts, and seeing the sadness in their eyes when they talk about these people from the past. But as time goes on, it's clear that the guilt has less power over his father. It's almost as if his dad has come more to terms with the past, while his uncle is still living in it, as his guilt and sadness never seems to change. But in peace, Tien has found a home amongst the Sun family. Even seeing the progress Goku has made has caused Tien to wonder if a family is something. No, he doesn't deserve that. He can't do that. He will just continue to live as Gohan's uncle. Things can't stay perfect forever though, as soon a stranger from outer space finds his way to Earth in search of his brother. If you were here at the start of the video, or just skip past it, like I said, this story is one I genuinely have an interest in fully telling. This is more of a project. This second chance I've given it, because the first part didn't do amazingly. This is a second chance I'm giving it for me, because I really like the idea of the story I've written down. If the video doesn't do well, I will bench it and maybe make it a shorts or something. I don't know. But this is just something I wanted to at least give it an attempt at. Sometimes YouTube just works out like that. Stories you're really invested in and really wanting to make work just don't hold up and don't have the power you want it to have, which is completely fine. I was very, very lucky with a lot of videos being ones which were a big passion for me, such as What If Raditz Raised Gohan and Kukui's Train Dash, doing phenomenally, and having a dud every now and again is just part of life, isn't it? But yeah, I do hope everyone enjoys this. Have a great day or a good night, and please, if you enjoyed this video, share it with a friend, like the video, leave a comment. I hope everyone has a great day or a good night, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye for now, guys.